take a second to look around. I can feel the smiles, let me break it down. Take it up with computer love, Futureland, the plug, hit you with a buzz.
What's up, y'all? Futureland365. It's your girl, Nikki B.
And it's just Joseph.
All right, you all. So we just had an amazing conversation. Who did we talk to today?
We spoke with Refresh Collective's very own Jeremy Bryan, a.k.a. Quill the Messenger. He dropped some bars for us and let us know about all the amazing things they're doing with the youth. So tune in. You don't want to miss it.
Subscribe.
Do that now.
Subscribe.
Hey.
All right, you all, welcome back to Futureland365 podcast and radio show, where we spotlight bold innovators, entrepreneurs, and creators from Cleveland.
Yeah, that's right.
It's me, Nikki B.
And it's just Joseph. And we got to shout out WOVU 95.9 FM.
WOVU LP, Cleveland.
Let's do that.
Let's go.
We're back and we're
so excited.
This is about to be a great one. I can already feel it. I just got a good feeling about this one. You know, we get to talk a little bit about music today, and you know that's really
one of your
my
things.
area. One of them. And so I'm really passionate about what we're gonna talk about today, and we also are talking about empowering the youth, and so this is like
another part of what you love so much, right?
Yeah. So we and this is really what Futureland is about. You know, incorporating tech, art, culture, and being a pipeline and a bridge for the youth to see different opportunities and explore and grow and elevate. And we get to do all that in a fun, creative way. And that's what I love about Futureland. So do you want to introduce our guests or what?
Yeah, you know what? I would love to. Thank you so much. I would love the honor to. So today we're actually talking about empowering the next generation of creatives with hip hop culture. It's like, how do we do that, right? How do we do that? So I'm excited, you all, to introduce our guest. And he's a really cool guy, right? And we'll find out more, and we'll find out why. But we have Refresh Collective, right? The team. The solo team right now. Right. We have Mr. Jeremy Bryan here.
Yeah, what's
so welcome, Mr. Jeremy. And I hear you have a stage name or your DJ name, Quill the Messenger.
Yeah, that's my MC name.
Yeah,
I vibe up with DJ Doc, but I'm the MC on this.
Okay. I love that. I love that the play on words there. Quill the Messenger.
Right.
So tell us about Quill the Messenger and how does that incorporate into what you do and how you empower our youth through hip hop culture?
Well, first of all, it's good to be with y'all.
Yeah,
Joseph, Nikki, thanks for having me. Really appreciate it. Quill the Messenger was a moniker born of midlife. You know what I mean? At midlife, we go through a crossroads. I was known as Jer 1 before that. I had a hip-hop group called the Figureheads. It was all kids' music. So we were going into schools pre-K. We'd be rocking assemblies for pre-K through 5th grade, middle school, high school, colleges. And at a certain point, I was like, it's great to be known for that, but I got something to say about midlife. You know what I mean? Hip-hop is at a midlife crisis. And so was I at the time, right? Hip hop's turning 50. I was turning 45.
Wow. I'm
like, I got to drop something under a new name. And Quill the Messenger is a play on, you know, don't kill the messenger. Because, you know, some of us are called to bring something controversial in terms of exploring what it means to be human, exploring equity, exploring life, you know, in general. And poets go deep. And it's controversial. Sometimes you hit a pain point and people get pissed off. And so Quill the Messenger was a play on, let's talk really honestly, but don't come at me for it. I'm just trying to lay bare what's really going on deep down within myself, but I think also within us as people. So that's what Quill was born from. And the kids call me Mr. Quill now, which is funny. You know what I mean? Thanks, Mr. Quill. I'm like, all right. So I'm taking ownership of that name in all kinds of settings now, not just, you know, my stage name, but it's where when I'm working with youth, that's what they calling me now too.
That's pretty cool, man.
So when you say youth, are you referring to what ages?
Yeah, so I just finished a residency at a middle school. So I was working with 6th, 7th, and 8th graders, helping them write songs and kind of develop school spirit and academic motivation through songwriting. And so they just rocked an assembly for the whole school. And it took a while to get them ready for this because they were really timid. They, up to the last minute, many of them were in rebellion, like, I'm not doing this, right? But when I framed it as, but you're giving something back to the kindergarten through fifth graders, right? Because this is a K through 8 school. They're trying to hear from you. They want to see you. They want to see all parts of you. They looking up to you. So that kind of motivated them a little bit.
That's
and
amazing.
They came up, they took the mic, and they lit into it. You know what I mean? Kiana, yo, it's Baby K. Get out my way. I could bake all day, every single day. Why you mad? Just go get a bag or go play tag, right? So they get into these, like,
I love that.
so fun.
They finally find that flow state.
They find that flow state, and the whole school lit up, erupted. Because they felt the energy of the creativity and what it does. And the kids left notes for me in the iPads off of this one, because we write the beats in the iPads and we write the lyrics in the notes.
Very cool.
And they left little notes for me in there, like, thanks for helping me grow my creativity, or thank you for helping me feel safe and confident. You know what I mean?
I'm gonna melt over here, Joseph.
Right.
I love that so much.
With the Mr. Quill tag.
With the Mr.
Quill, thank you for making me feel so. You know.
So I gotta back you up for a second, because I want to know how you got into, like, how did hip hop become a part of, you know, who you are and what you do, and then I also want you to kind of lead that into the origins of the, you know, Refresh Collective.
So I grew up the son of urban missionaries, upstate New York. So I was living in the hood as a minority, and hip hop was the language of the streets. So I would step out of the house, and that's what I'm hearing, that's what I'm seeing, and that's what I'm feeling deep down, you know. And my dad's a preacher, and so for me, I was like, I'm not trying to preach in the pulpit, but I do want to preach out here in a way.
I got a word,
And so hip hop became the way for me to both express my sense of what God wanted me to say, but also my own inner anger. Like, I was feeling frustrated about some things, you know, prepubescent, you know, 12, picking up the mic, like, I got something to say, right? So I was processing some abuse that I'd been through. I was processing the gospel as I understood it. And that hip hop became the genre, the venue, the culture that made me feel welcome. Like, I know you're just a little white boy, but there's a spot in the cipher for you. Even if we're going to give you a hard time at first, you know, which they did. You know, like in middle school, my voice was still in a high register. Like, I was singing in the church choir, but high. They'd be like, yo, who let Mickey Mouse in the cipher? You know what I mean? But I'd have to get through those little, you know, jabs and push through. And then there was a deep welcome. There was, hey, if you got the spirit and the skill for this, you're welcome at the table. So hip hop made me feel like I had something to say, a place to say it. And I always dreamed of, well, what would hip hop look like as an educational force, right? So I carried that into my own educational career. Got a master's degree in liberal studies, which allowed me to create not just a thesis, but an album for my master's degree that I handed not just to the professors on the panel, but the whole community was invited to come out. And we did an interactive workshop as part of my thesis defense, you know, with the community and the professors. So from beginning to education to now career, hip hop has been a way to weave together a spirit of innovation, spirit of multiculturalism, and the cipher is kind of how I sum it up.
That's fire.
Everybody has a place in the cipher. Every voice has to be heard for the cipher to be complete.
No, I grew up in, you know, that cipher era and that understanding of, you know, that's where your skills are sharpened and honed, and you start to, you know, realize that, okay, no, I do have a voice in this. But, you know, you talking about, you know, I just sense like this 8 Mile moment with you. You know, you stepping into an arena and everybody like, what you got to say?
That's right.
And they will respect you if the bars are hitting and if you spitting some substance. That's so, no, that's exciting, man.
But speaking of that 8 Mile moment, I was in Chicago battling Phenom, one of the illest MCs locally in Chicago. And it's cool how they battled. It was called a hip hop revival. And instead of battling each other, going at the person that you with, you have to pick a topic out of a hat. And you have to address poverty. You have to address technology.
Ooh.
And so we got these topics, and we had to go for a minute. And it was more like a great debate than it was that battle that you think of.
Battle, right.
And it was so brilliant.
So that's true MCs.
Yeah.
That's being able to take a topic, being able to take some words and to create, a storyline out of it, to be able to, communicate your passion in that moment.
That's right.
That's what gets me excited about hip hop, when it's real and it's authentic. But that's a true MC. So I'm getting those vibes from you, man. You say you got a surprise for us today.
Yeah.
You want to teach us a little bit about what you actually do with some of the students.
That's right.
So go back to Refresh Collective and its beginning and how you do this.
So DJ Doc Harrell is the founder of Refresh Collective, and we met at a music conference before either of us had launched our own nonprofits. And so we were ideating at that stage. We were just excited about creation, about education, and especially how to merge hip hop and education, right? So it was being done in some ways, but we hadn't seen it done in the way we thought it could be, which is really about unlocking the creative process inside young people to discover their voice, which gives them the confidence to say, if I can do this well, what can't I do? You know what I mean?
Yeah. That's it.
And so
I love that.
We were talking about it in Colorado at this conference. Little did we know, years later, we'd reconverge in Cleveland. And I've been part of Refresh Collective since really the inception as a voice and encouragement. But I'm a transplant from Milwaukee to Cleveland as of a couple years ago. So the reason I'm here, though, is Refresh Collective. It's because DJ Doc on the east side of Cleveland, East 115th, which I'd come visit fairly often, he would just walk around the neighborhood as a DJ. And a DJ's concern is like, how do I bring people together?
Right.
How do I have a party with the people that are around me?
Right.
And so he went around his neighborhood looking for what needs are here. And he was just knocking on neighbors' doors like, hey, what do you think the biggest needs in the neighborhood are? Right.
Wow.
And sometimes it just starts with a question.
Yeah.
Like, what is your dream? What does the neighborhood need? And what he got back consistently was, we need some place for our young people to go during the summers. We need some opportunities for them in the summertime. And so he started what's called the Fresh Camp, which is a merger of, we're going to write beats and rhymes and we're going to record them, but we're also going to grow vegetables and we're going to start a garden. So the Fresh Camp, and I'm rocking one of the t-shirts, one of the original t-shirts.
Let us unite.
These are the young people coming up with these puns and these like ways to like drop the beat is another one with a big beat right here. You know what I mean?
Fire.
And so they're learning how to grow their own food, how to prepare their own meals using the food that they're growing, and they're cooking up beats and rhymes and voicing like, here are the things in the neighborhood. And so one of the early initiatives was Drop the Lead, is what they felt. They had this thing about, it's a double entendre.
Right.
It's the lead paint.
Right. Huge problem.
And it's gun violence. Right.
Yeah.
And so the young people unlock their political activism as well as just their sense of like connectedness to each other.
Yeah.
In the camp. Yeah.
Man. Well, hold on, man. With that,
You got to drop.
I got to give a round of applause, but our board isn't.
That's huge.
Working right now. But I got to say
we have so much.
Yeah, because I also grew up on my pops was a huge hip hop head. But he had me grow up listening to, to LL Cool J, to, Public Enemy, and the music back then, they had a message,
That's right.
Even at the beginning, in the origins of hip hop, when you talk about, KRS-One and those guys, the music, they understood the influence that they had, and the messaging was so important.
That's right.
And I don't see anything that has more of a power than music to transform minds. You think about some of the early songs, from a childhood, you still remember those lyrics. You still, because it was put on a beat and because it was etched into your mind. So I definitely understand the importance, and this is why I entered into making music myself, because I heard the music that is out here and that's, infiltrating the minds of our children.
Right.
And so I said, no, what, I'm going to be a voice and an advocate to speak against those things and to speak, positive, but still in a relatable way to where they can receive it And I've seen a lot of transformation like that, but I cannot believe this is my first time hearing about you, your story, DJ Doc, and what you guys are doing at Refresh Collective. So I'm all in, man. I'm excited.
Right, exactly. And that's exactly what we do here. Here on FutureLand365. You know, Jeremy and I were talking before we hit record, and we were talking, you know, what is the gist of FutureLand365? Yeah. Well, it's an extension, an extended conversation from just one time in the year, right? So it's a ongoing conversation to highlight and spotlight individuals and organizations that are doing the work, who are innovating and energizing and empowering our youth, right? Because we wouldn't have FutureLand365 if we weren't talking about youth. We need our youth for the future. Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
That's it.
Yeah. Tomorrow's an exciting day because Mayor Justin Bibb is signing into law a new youth initiative.
Nice.
Which I'm not sure exactly the implications of it, but two of the young people we work with who are now running a fresh camp at Davis A&M High School. So they're seniors there, and they've been part of this for years. They took the initiative and said, Doc, Jer, we want to run this year.
Wow.
And so they're taking the lead on it. They're preparing all the PowerPoints. They're setting up the studios, and they're running it, you know what I mean, as seniors. And they got invited to be part of the youth summit at the Brown Stadium. So Mark was the MC of the whole thing, and Kayla was one of the featured artists and one of the coaches. And so finding ways to invite youth to the table at the center of the city and say, here's the direction the city could go in. That's, I think, the initiative that is signed into law tomorrow, is there needs to be youth voice at every major decision going forward, which is a huge thing. I mean, that's like a rite of passage where you're saying,
it is. Absolutely.
Come to the community fire and tell the elders what you're feeling, you know what I mean? Yeah. So I'm excited for that. That's tomorrow at 4 p.m.
Yeah, I'm excited about that as well because we were talking about representation and conversations being reflective of who is there, right? So with young people, teenagers, young adolescents, all of you all, if you're listening to this, if you're listening to it on the radio or on the YouTube channel, hey, you can do that too. You have a voice.
That's right.
You know, you have a voice. It just takes, saying, hey, I want to learn this. Yeah. Hey, Mom, I want to learn that. Have you heard about Refresh Collective? Right. So how do those individuals, if they're listening, listening to the radio at 1 o'clock in the afternoon, that's okay. So how do their parents, or how will their parents enroll those individuals who are inquisitive or wanting to learn, or even if they have a child that is having a hard time learning, maybe this could be a gateway to help them get excited again about education and learning. Yeah.
Thanks, Nikki, for asking that. The first way I'm thinking about is our summer Fresh Force program. So if you're an 8th grader going into 9th, so rising 9th graders, all the way through senior year of high school, the Fresh Force is a 6-week employment opportunity over the summer.
Wait.
Yeah.
Employment?
Yeah, you get paid. You get paid to write beats, write rhymes, learn the recording process.
The job I was always looking for.
Listen.
I never had that.
I would have realized the gift at that moment, like, I can't write beats.
Right.
That's funny. That's pretty cool.
So you can apply for that. YOU helps fund that. And so
YOU.
It's a range of opportunities for young people to kind of do internships over the summer, but get paid to do it. And so we're in that process of receiving applications for that. There's also any camps that we're running over the summer. They can apply to be part of any of those just as a student and as a participant. So that's the second option. The third would be, because parents are probably going to be hearing it, they could petition the school to bring in Refresh Collective to do some programming, right? So we do songwriting workshops, residencies, assemblies, and we could connect with the school, the admin, the teachers, and build a multi-tier partnership with the school that involves the kids writing their own songs to, again, increase school spirit and academic performance, as well as build community. And those are the 3 ways I'm thinking about.
Thank you. I appreciate that. That's awesome. But I want to pause a little bit because I am, when I hear something that I have a question about, I love to highlight and spotlight that thing too. So when you say residency, because not all of us understand exactly what a residency is, what does that mean, or what is that terminology?
It's a way to talk about an arts partnership that happens over a semester versus just a one-off experience. It's like an artist in residency shows up a few times a week to work with a group and to finish a project together. So with Marion Sterling School, the middle school that I was mentioning, or the K through 8 school, we did a 3-week residency where I was there daily for 3 weeks, starting with a kickoff assembly, get everybody together. Let's have a hip hop based party that's appropriate for everyone, includes everyone, including the teachers. They were dancing and freestyling, which I was impressed by. A lot of times teachers are more hesitant than the students.
You know? That is fire.
And then by the end, again, it was youth-led. The final assembly was just the youth and their original songs with a little bit of me as the hype man, you know. But yeah, so that's what residency looks like. It's like a 3-week partnership, but sometimes it could be a partnership over the long term.
Okay.
So we're working with the Cleveland Clinic, and once a week, we work one-on-one with a young person who's been through trauma, and they're in rehabilitation.
Yeah.
And so we have a long-form partnership with some places that are more in that trauma experience, and songwriting is a gentle way to coax them through some of the struggles that are hard to talk about when you're going through it. You know what I mean? But again, when the beat drops and the heart is open, the story gets told, you know?
Yeah.
No, that's good.
I love that. It's perfect.
Yeah, it is. So we do got to go to break, but you know, when we come back, I'm excited for you to share some of the success stories. And I've seen a lot so far in doing my research on what you all do. And also, my man Jeremy said he's going to break down and teach us some of the activations that he actually does with some of the students. So
hopefully I don't fall asleep and get too calm.
Yeah, because it's going to be real calming. So I hope y'all stay tuned for that. But we'll be right back.
We'll be right back, you all. Awesome and amazing day, you all. Welcome back to Futureland 365. It's your girl Nikki B
and
right here on the mic.
Joseph.
95.9 WOVU. And we have an amazing guest in the building. We got Quill the Messenger.
Yeah.
AKA Jeremy Bryan of Refresh Collective. We had an amazing first session of this interview. I think we learned so much. We learned about you all empowering our youth and getting them involved and having them or letting them be involved in leadership, right?
Yeah. That's right.
I love that so much. So with that being said, what are 1 or 2 success stories that you have experienced with some of your youth? You have senior youth, or what is that?
Yeah, we have young people we've worked with since they were in middle school who are now seniors in high school.
Amazing.
Who are now, again, leading as teaching artists. And that's, I think, one of the success stories is some of the people that we've worked with as, you know, when they started out as young people have come back around to give back, you know, because they found voice, they found confidence, they found a sense of purpose in the work with Refresh, and they came back like, yo, let me be part of this. Let me be a teaching artist on the team.
Wow.
And so we've worked with young people who we met in middle school, who now they're young adults trying to figure out, all right, is college for me, right? Or can I balance like being a teaching artist and a hip hop artist and go to college at the same time? So some of the conversations we're having show the longevity of this work. When someone feels truly welcomed, truly heard, truly listened to, and they know we're there for a long-term relationship and not just a one-off, then they're bought in, we're bought in. It's a common community investment, right? And some of the success stories with young people we've seen, shout out Sin the Grim Rapper, that's Dennis. And
Sim the Grim.
Sin the Grim, yep.
I love that.
And we met him at MC Squared High School, freshman year, Great Lakes Science Center, a young man with autism who was having a hard time finding his place in the classroom. Trying to match the social rhythms and social cues can be difficult for folks with autism. And so this program came in, DJ Doc was hosting, and he could tell Dennis had some skills with writing. Vocabulary, metaphor. And so he encouraged him. He had to break up a couple fights, kids picking on him, trying to start something. But he pushed through the anger and channeled it into the into his writing and became one of the illest young MCs I've ever heard.
That's crazy.
And
Love
so,
that, yeah.
and he wrote a song called Puzzled, which really goes into the inner dimensions of being someone with autism, trying to communicate to the outer world. And hip hop verse became the way for him to do that.
Yeah.
And so we would bring him to assemblies where he'd rock for 500 young people, sharing about his experience with autism, while the music for Puzzled and the video was in the background. So it was a very emotional thing for them. And he would just, this is matter of fact for him, he was just spitting.
Yeah.
And he was like fiery about it, you know what I mean? So these are young adults now. These are young people in college trying to find their way in the world. But this tool of what we call rites of passage, WRITES, rites of passage, there's not enough of those for young people.
Yeah.
Right? I was reading a poem the other day by Vachelle Lindsay, who actually helped discover Langston Hughes, the poet.
Wow.
Like he was sitting at a restaurant. Langston Hughes came and dropped some poetry on him because he was like a busboy at the restaurant, and he knew this dude, and he loved the poetry. So he and Langston started a friendship, and that blossomed into Langston's career in part, right? So, but he said, "Let not young souls be smothered out before they do quaint deeds and fully flaunt their pride. It is the world's one crime. Its babes grow dull." And man, when I read that, I was like, that's why we do what we do.
Yeah. It gives you chills, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It's like
Major.
so important. I love that rites of passage, and through the music, through writing. And that's literally how, the greatest, minds pass things down. It's through writings, right? So somebody has to record, even the Bible, right? Everything, the most important literature is written. And so that's powerful. So talk a little bit about rites of passage and how you've seen, the impact of hip hop culture really, build that resilience and confidence in the youth.
Yeah. So right now I'm working in the juvenile detention center, and young people there are facing some serious things, right?
Yeah.
They got a court case they're working through. They're trying to get on probation, and they're trying to discover their sense of identity at the same time, right? For many of them, it's their first time in trouble. And I think that's in part because of what the poet was saying. They haven't been given the chance to flaunt their pride in a safe way. And you can take risks, of course, but youth need those opportunities to show off, show out in a way that feels like, yo, you got me, I got you. So they're not striking out with violence and other ways, right? And so rites of passage is a way for them. And in this week, what I'm doing with young people at juvenile detention is giving them a chance to both write beats and explore. They have a studio there already, but it's not really used. And so it's like, well, let's fill in the space with you.
Yeah.
I want y'all to own this space. Like, you're going to be the engineers. So when I'm in there, I'm really tempted to be the one, but
It's
nah,
for them.
all you got to do is set it up, encourage the young person who's about to spit on the mic. And of course, we got to keep it positive.
Yeah.
So the thesis that they came up with is, I'm done with the streets. They could leave me alone. I'm trying to go home. I'm trying to get in my zone. It's like this, they're trying to find their place. Yeah. And they know the streets aren't welcoming them in the way that, they were hoping.
Right.
So what's an alternative vision? What's a different way of living? What are some relationships that are going to get me where I need to go? And so initially resistant, of course, because they're trying to rap about certain things, right? And I'm like, nah, we got to come up with a thesis. So rites of passage really is about empowering them to think in messaging terms. Like you said, early hip hop had a message at its heart. It had a thesis.
Absolutely.
And I think of that as like the sun in the universe of hip hop.
Yeah.
It's the message of hope.
Yeah.
And everything has to orbit that. Your verse needs to orbit that thesis of hope.
That's good.
You know what I mean?
Right.
And if it's not, then you're in the wrong universe.
Right.
You're still trying to orbit your own sense of pride and your own sense of trying to get yours, which of course you need that, but it's got to enter the right orbit.
Absolutely.
It's got to serve something bigger.
Right.
So we talk a lot about that. So I'm trying to empower them both to be dope MCs and rappers and producers and engineers, but also to think of those skills as transferable to any academic or job environment they may encounter. If you can communicate clearly in a metaphor, that employer is going to be like, oh, we need you on this team for this, and this, right?
Absolutely.
And then if you're in school and your teacher's asking for an essay and you hate writing essays, but you think of it like a song, and you're like, well, I got to come up with my chorus, my hook, my thesis. And then my verse is just that paragraph describing my connection to that thesis, right? So that's really my heart behind it, is trying to welcome them into the academic space as well, which a lot of times these young people feel like this is not for me. Right? But no, language is yours. You own it. We're going to help you. We're going to serve you to see that language welcomed and seen and heard, you know? Because we're working with kids who, some of them are in middle school and they're still struggling at basic levels to read and write. But they're amazing storytellers. You know what I mean? So it's like they got the oral storytelling and now we're helping them write it down.
Wow.
And sometimes that little practice of like, wait, I wrote that? I spit that in front of 500 people? Well, maybe this is for me. And maybe I can read. Maybe I can write in ways I didn't realize. And that's sometimes all it takes.
It is.
When you're ready for it, it comes. And so that's how I see it. You know what I mean?
He's speaking to like all the areas of my heart right now.
I can feel Joseph over here. He's
goodness.
like ready to jump over.
This is crazy. Like, I mean, from going into the schools, from doing music to hitting the juvenile, you know, correctional facilities, like those are all the things that I'm doing. And I did not even know of the work that you all do. And just been trying to figure it out, you know. But like you said earlier, when you're serving, when you're going into these places, you're not looking for recognition. You're doing it because this is what God has put on your heart to do.
That's right.
And so you're too busy doing the work that you're not up here trying to, hey, look at me doing the work. No, we locked in and doing the work. So I see that same passion from you and the people on your team. And today, like looking at, you know, the, you know, Refresh Collective page, and I want everybody to make sure they follow you. Where can they follow you?
On Instagram at Refresh the City.
Refresh the City. Yeah. And that's what they're doing. And I see just the testimonials is what spoke to me of kids, of how like, man, I started off like this and I was very shy, or I was very, you know, scared to speak in front of people, and now they're just blossoming, you know, and you know, just stepping outside of themselves. And so just seeing those testimonies one after another. And then also, you know, you guys are providing a platform for people to express different traumas and things in their life that they usually wouldn't have those places to, you know, express. And then you're also providing hope. And that's the biggest thing, having hope. Because if we don't have hope, we don't have anything.
That's right.
You know, we have to have something that is encouraging us, especially when you're talking about, you know, the youth who are behind bars, anybody behind bars. You know, they need hope to continue on and knowing that their life isn't over with.
That's right.
But there is, you know, better ahead. So
yes, it is.
that's amazing stuff. I'm pumped up. I'm excited. And so you even said you want to show us how you get down with, you know, some of the students.
That's right.
Yeah.
First, I want to share, though, because we do a lot of trauma-informed care, and we work with a lot of recognized practices on meditation, you know what I mean, mindfulness. And so we have this experience, a transformational hip-hop meditation practice, and we call it breath bars. And it's based a little bit off box breathing, which is a real simple practice. You breathe into the count of 4, you hold it for the count of 4, you exhale for the count of 4, and then you hold it again. And that's 4 bars of music.
Wow.
And you're supposed to do it 4 times in a row to reset your equilibrium. It relaxes your nervous system, resets you. But if you do it 4 times in a row, how many bars is that? 4 times 4, that's 16, which is the conventional hip-hop verse.
I'm going to have to start doing this before I write.
Right? And so what it does is this practice prepares the young people both to calm, but also to create. It helps them learn breath control, and it helps them understand mathematically this is the frame you're fitting in when you go to write your verse, you know? So, and then we've done this with teachers in professional development sessions. We're going to San Diego to present this at the Deeper Learning Conference 2025.
Wow.
Their theme is play. Like how can we become a playful community when it comes to education? Because that's how people really learn. They remember when they're playing.
So true.
That's it.
Absolutely.
When they're having fun with it.
Yeah.
And so breath bars is an experience that's meant to be transformational and fun.
Okay.
And there's a couple parts to it. The first is just that breath. 4 count, in, hold, exhale, hold, right? And then there's the breath hook, which is a little chorus that you can create. Doesn't even have to rhyme.
Okay.
But it's one thing you're letting go of and one thing you're taking hold of. That's it. So I'm letting go of fear and receiving, y'all help me out.
Strength.
Confidence.
Receiving confidence, receiving strength.
Yeah,
Exactly.
I like that.
So it doesn't even have to rhyme. It could rhyme.
Yeah.
Like, I am not alone. So I'm releasing that sense that I feel like I'm alone. I am held and I am known.
I like that one.
You know
I
what I'm
love
saying?
that one.
I am held and I am known. I am not alone. And sometimes without even saying it aloud, you can match your breath to that idea.
Yeah.
Like breathing in, and that's what you're saying in your mind. I am not alone. And then you're breathing out. I am held. I am known. Right?
Yeah.
So
that's fire.
Yeah.
And it's reprogramming.
My heart
and,
just skipped a beat.
Changing the way you think.
it helps
you know,
me.
Yes.
It helps me a lot. That's
So
why I'm
love
doing
that.
it. You know what I mean? Because for me, it's
Yeah.
transformational. It's absolutely.
Oh, I'm excited to practice this, bro. So
too.
you gonna give us an example of
I
this?
am. Let's do it.
Let's do it.
Let's
All right.
do
Well,
it.
shoot. I'm about to throw on a beat.
Shout out DJ Henrold, one of our students who wrote this beat specifically for this purpose.
Okay.
So wherever you're at, you know what I mean? Settle in, take a deep breath. Obviously, if you're driving, don't close your eyes or anything like that, but it's a real simple practice. And with the rhythm, you're going to breathe in to the count of 4. Let's try it. Breathe in, 2, 3, 4. Now hold, 2, 3. Exhale, 2, 3, 4. Hold. And then we'll bring it back. Like breathe in, 2, 3, 4, and then hold. Exhale, 2, 3, 4, then hold. And so 4 times in a row. You can do this on your own time. You can do this with any of your favorite beats that are chill, you know. It's a simple practice. 4 times in a row resets your equilibrium, relaxes your nervous system. And then you could even go a little deeper and ask yourself, what's one thing I want to let go of during this season of my life that I've been holding on too tightly to? I'm going to let go of that. And then I'm going to take hold of something that I desire, you know, something that I want more of, I want to welcome. And so my example earlier is the one I've been vibing with recently, because in this work it can get lonely. So I say, no, I am not alone. I am held and I am known. Yeah, I said, I am not alone. I am held. I am known. So I'm letting go of the feeling that I'm all alone and taking hold of the fact that I'm loved and I'm known.
Yeah.
So what is it for you? You know what I mean? What's one thing you want to let go of or take hold of? That's something you can do, again, on your own time with any rhythm or just with silence, right? Sometimes we need that quiet. So that's the breath box is the breathing we did. The breath hook is that idea of letting go and taking hold. And then from that, you can just freestyle. You know, you can just have fun with it and breathe with the rhythm. It doesn't even have to rhyme. Don't pressure yourself to rhyme, but you could just be like, I'm feeling like I need to get my zone right. And so I'm going to just turn on the mic and hear my own voice in the speakers. I'm trying to lace up these sneakers so I could pick up the pace, feel the grace. I could get a taste of my life, not a waste. It's a overabundance. It's flowing and it's fun and I can't hold back. I got to flow over the drum. I got to feel it in my soul. Got to feel it in my bones. Got to release the control and realize that I'm known and I don't have to fight it. I can just be held because one day everything will be made well.
We feeling swell. And I'm letting go of fear.
Let it go.
Breathe it out, and I'm bringing faith near.
Bring it near.
It's off the top in the stew with the quill.
Let's
you know we
go.
gon' do it, cause you know we got the skill.
Got a skill.
Hey, and we letting fear go.
Let it
You
go.
already know, Nikki B, you gon' flow.
I really don't have no flows, but but I could do it without the flow. That was great.
That was
fun.
Amazing.
Nah,
I feel so calm too.
I feel good. I feel like I done tapped into a whole nother. We could do another episode right now.
That
another
was fire.
45 minutes.
I love that, bro.
Wow.
Thank you for sharing that with us.
Thank you, and thank you for sharing this skill and this gift and the idea and the vision with our community. With our young people. I have people who are near and dear to me that are having trouble, as well as you were just talking about the story with Send the Grim, right? With Mr. Dennis. Shout out to you, my guy. I love your confidence and your ability to push through, right?
That's right.
So I think those young individuals who are listening to this are going to say, you know what? I can push through. You know, I'm going to let go of the fear of being, talked about or people laughing at me because I probably can't read as well or whatever. But that's probably because I have some trauma and some stressors at home.
That's right.
That those things are being suppressed, right? I have other things to be concerned about. And really, when you're 13, 12, 14, 15, you shouldn't be concerned about those things. But because our young individuals have such big hearts and want to care and want to serve for those around us, which is evident with your program where the seniors are wanting to give back to the littles. It's just so much. So thank you so much for sharing and being who you are and being that innovator. And even if you were, that minority in a group, now you're like, hey, I'm here. I'm part of this community as well.
Use it as a strength and a superpower. That's what I'm sensing, And you talked about giving people the tools, right, to be able to look at, hey, this might be considered a disadvantage, but you can use it to your advantage.
That's right.
And I love that. I love that theme. And so
your difference is not your dysfunction. Okay, that's what I just heard.
I like that bar. Dropped another
your
bar on them.
Difference is not your dysfunction.
There we go.
Actually sets you apart
on that.
That's it.
to be the difference in someone else's life. Okay,
fire.
Like dang.
That was really good. That was really good. So how can everybody, follow and connect with everything you got going on?
So Instagram's a great way to connect, message us. What I just shared is off of cypherstyle.org. So we started a curriculum company that's trying to distill the best practices from over 15 years of this work in schools, trying to distill it down to what can we really transfer, what can other teachers take easily and use in their classrooms. So we've sent this beat to lots of teachers all around the U.S. who are trying it out in their classroom or leaders who are trying it out in their boardroom. You know what I mean? So cypherstyle.org is where you can check that out. CYPHER style.org.
Awesome. How can we tap into some of your music? I know you said you got something coming out, right?
So Quill the Messenger, there's always the tension when you're a teaching artist to put your own material out there too, right? But we try to lead with creativity. And so I decided, I have to drop. And so Midlife Crisis is my most recent album. You can find it on any streaming platform. Quill the Messenger, Midlife Crisis. The remix album is dropping on Father's Day coming up in June. And so be on the lookout for that. It's 4 remixes of the lead single from the album, and then 1 old school remix, which means I rewrote the whole thing. New verses, new beat, everything.
Let's go.
I love that.
That's fire. I'm happy to hear that. And speaking on following, we got a lot of listeners who have not subscribed to our YouTube channel yet. Nikki B, I heard there's people watching and they ain't subscribed yet. They might as well go ahead and hit that subscribe.
I know you're watching. Subscribe to it so that you don't miss, especially this episode, right? If you need to play it back, guess what? You could do that right there on YouTube. Futureland CLE.
And we're also on Instagram and X as well. Make sure you go to www.futurelandcle.com and subscribe to our newsletter as well to stay up to date with everything Futureland and what's going on. There was a lot to take away from this show today.
Much.
Oh, my goodness. And I'm encouraged, number one. And so I love when we have a guest on that is bringing life to the room. And we had that today with Mr. Jeremy Bryan. And so I'm excited to even take some of the things that he taught us today and put it into practice myself, especially as a writer, especially as somebody who is a artist in music. And so, I mean, one of the biggest things that I took from him, though, was from his guy DJ Doc, who was, you know, just going around in the neighborhood and finding out the need. Right. That's where you want to start. Where's the need?
Ask the question first.
Yeah, ask the question and be humble enough to, you know, say, this is what I'm going to respond to, the need here in my community. And that's what I'm going to take home with me today is, you know, really realizing, okay, what is the need of my community? You know, growing up here in Cleveland, Ohio, so passionate about this city and wanting to, you know, improve the lives of those in it. But, you know, we can set out to try to do what we want to do, or we can really try to address the need. That's what I would encourage our listeners to do today. How about you, Nikki B?
Oh my gosh. As you know, I always have a whole sheet full of notes and things like that, key takeaways. So I'll just start firing them off. So one of the things is there's energy in the creativity. I love when you said that. I was like, ooh, I felt the energy with that one. And then also, of course, the box breath and the breathing bars. Those were super helpful. I'm going to implant or put those into my morning as well as throughout the day, because, you know, people be testing you. So I need to bring it down. So, right?
That's true.
And then also I loved play like a child. Yeah. Play like a child, because that's going to bring out your genius, your creativity, and you're going to feel empowered to bring out that creativity. So play. Don't take everything so serious, right?
That's good.
Yes, plan things out, you know, structure some things out. However, don't take yourself so serious and don't take that thing so serious, because it's just then when you start playing that it's like, oh, I did that. Yes, you did.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
You came alive, right?
Yep, you came alive.
Yeah.
I
And
love
that's what
that.
actually meets the needs of the community, is when we have young people coming alive. The needs get met almost miraculously.
Wow.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because you got to ask what the community needs, but you also need to ask what makes you come alive.
Yeah.
What gives you energy?
Yeah.
Not what drains you.
So I'm gonna leave the floor with you, Jeremy. If you can leave our listeners with something, you know, what would that be?
Return to your breath and let the breath be a symbol to you that you are welcome, you are held, you are known, you are loved. Even just sitting in the chair you're sitting in, or where you're sitting in the car, you're held by gravity. And I like to think of that like grace. Like grace is something that both centers us down and buoys us up at the same time. And so each of us are always held in this miraculous moment. So center yourself in the moment, return to your breath, and drop those breath bars.
Yes.
Ladies and gentlemen, you have it, Mr. Jeremy Bryan.
Yes. Thank you so much for being here. You are an incredible resource, an incredible spirit, energy, all the things. I see why the kids are Mr. Quill, Mr. Quill.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, thank you
because
so
now
much
you're
for
my
having
Mr.
me.
Quill too. So
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
I love that. So Just Joseph, another episode in the books, another amazing resource for our community and your community to tap into if you're looking for your youth to get into a positive program for creativity. Yeah. Man, what an amazing show.
What an amazing show. So we thank you, listeners.
Thank you, guys.
Stay tuned, because we got some more on the way.
That's
Much
it.
love. Peace.
Futureland 365. Peace. We're out.
Moving on,
Hey.
Moving on,
Futureland, what's up?
Yeah.
Hey.